Welcome to Quick Bytes, the lunchtime live stream with your tech integration specialist, Scott Conway. Welcome and thank you for joining me today. This episode is actually going to be somewhat of a continuation from the last episode on Pear Deck, but today we're going to specifically take a look at Pear Deck Vocabulary and the Flashcard Factory game that results from it. So this is a great tool within Pear Deck to allow students to kind of review vocabulary and that terminology that is important to the content that you're teaching. This is a great way for them to practice review and practice their content knowledge and their terminology knowledge. So I do want to remind viewers that we have the ability to comment or post questions out on the side during the session. If you have a question, we'll try to get to them before the end of our session today. But let's get right into Pear Deck Vocabulary. This is another free aspect to Pear Deck. So you do not need to be a premium user in order to benefit from Pear Deck Vocabulary and Flashcard Factory. So this can be used, I think, at any grade level. I know that I did a session with a group of high school teachers at one point using terminology from a health class, and my own daughter was in there to actually kind of test it out with the teachers, and had a really great time with it. So any age level when it comes to Pear Deck Vocabulary, this just does not need to be elementary only. The middle school and high school students have just as much fun with this as the elementary. So you can see that we're starting in Pear Deck. Again, I'm still on a free trial of the premium services, but again, the Pear Deck Vocabulary does not require you to be a premium user. So it's free to use. When we get in here, you're going to go right to the little blue square down here. The green square below the blue square. The green square, Pear Deck Vocabulary, and create a vocab list. So we're going to start there. And when I get into the demonstration of this a little bit on after I set this up, I'm going to go split screen and show you what it looks like to be from the teacher view and the student view at the same time. So you'll be able to see this from both perspectives at the same time. So when you get in there, you get to this, and it kind of sets you up for the establishment of a vocabulary list. And what I can do, I'm going to go from the second grade perspective today, just because that's the list of words that I have for demo today. But you can kind of make this whatever you want. You can title it whatever you want. Just click on it and retitle it. In the upper left-hand corner, you've got your 3 slashes, opens up a menu. You can open this up in Google Drive. You can take your list of words and definitions that you have here into Google Drive. You can also find vocabulary lists. I'm going to show you this momentarily because this is a great way to start. If you don't have a vocab list already pre-built, they've got some out there for you that you can pull from. So it's a little bit of a time saver. Sessions will bring you back out to the main dashboard where you can find the session that you just ran, and you can reuse it again. You can edit it, revise it, and run it again if you'd like. Contact support, obviously, and then brings you back to home. So I'm going to go to find vocabulary lists, and what it'll bring you to is actually this screen here. And it just says getting started with Flashcard Factory. And the biggest thing is right here, vocabulary lists, which are already kind of pre-built for you by grade level. I went into the second grade one, and as you click on it, you'll see that it's going to load. And this is what they put together. It's obviously not, necessarily what you need to use, but if you need some words to get started at your age level or your grade level, it's a great place to start. So here are the words and their definitions in kind of a tab separated format. You'll see as I scroll down, and I've pulled some of the words in from this. For today's demonstration purposes, I copied them over to just a Google Doc, as you can see here. So I've got 4 words and their definitions. Now, they'll show you here that you can actually build it right from here. So I can copy, if I want to copy these words and their definitions, open the vocab editor. It's going to plop them right into the import or copy paste functionality. So it's a little bit of a shortcut, but you're going to see that we're going to be able to do the same thing right here. So let me close this, and I'm going to use the import tool because I've got my list of keywords and their definitions outside here in the Google Doc. I'm going to go into the vocab editor, and I'm going to click on import. It's going to open up this dialog box. It's going to say import a list, and you can see it's in the same kind of tab separated format that I had here. So tab separated just means you type a word. I'll backspace this. You hit the tab button, and then you type the definition, and that's tab separated format. Okay, I'm going to copy this entire block of text with my hotkey, Control C. I can get that out of there right now. And I'm going to come over here to my import list, Control V. You can see that it pastes it in there in the tab separated format. And you can see the list preview, what it's going to look like. It's going to pre-fill all of that for me. And all I have to do is click import list. And now you can see that I have 1, 2, 3, 4 terms and their corresponding definitions. I can add more. I can also remove. And I can reorder these as well, drag and drop. I can just left click, grab it, drag it, and drop it if I want to reorder it. And you can see I add another term down here. If you want, you can export this list. And there it is. You just copy and paste. In fact, this is kind of how I did it before. Copy the list, and then I can come into a Google Doc and I can paste it. So if I want to keep track of a vocab keyword list with their definitions, I can do that externally as well. So once I have my list built, now I'm only going to go with these 4 terms for the sake of time today. Once I have my 4 terms and their definitions in, I'm all set and ready to go and play Flashcard Factory with my students. So what I'm going to do is minimize this and bring it over, split screen, open a new tab. So like the last demonstration, the last episode, on the left-hand side of the screen is the teacher view, and on the right-hand side is going to be the student view, okay? And we're going to go ahead and click Play Flashcard Factory. And again, it's going to kind of say that this is the browser window that is visible on your classroom's projector. So this is what's going to display to the class. You can say, okay, yep, I see this on my projector. It means it's displaying to the entire class. Now, if you're in a hybrid situation, like many of us are right now, you definitely want this to be on the screen that is projecting to the students that are in person. And if you have something like Google Meet or Zoom opened, then you're presenting your entire screen. The students at home will see that as well. So that's kind of where you want this to be. So I'm going to say, yep, I can see it there. Now this is where the student steps in, and they're going to, in their browser, type joinpd.com. And they do have to be logged into Google Chrome as an account holder to do this. So that'll register who they are. And then they're going to type in the code that they see on the display screen. And I click enter. And it gives a couple instructions to the student. It says, here are your tasks for the day. Work with your group. So this will be a group function to make amazing flashcards. And then your teacher and classmate will vote on the cards, and the team with the most chosen cards wins the game. So it's kind of gamifying the whole vocabulary learning, functionality or whatever. This is kind of gamifying the learning process for them. And you can see the final set of flashcards can actually be exported to GimKit, and I'll talk about that. I have a quick little discussion as to what that is so you understand. Pear Deck and GimKit have tied up together or teamed together to allow for the export into GimKit, so you can use it there for kind of another further gamification of the learning process. So once all the students have joined, you can see one worker has joined. I'm going to go ahead as the teacher and clock in. And the student's display has already changed. It says, you're on your own today. Good luck. Well, the reason I'm on my own is because if you look at the teacher display, I only have one worker here. And you can see it's kind of in 2 different groups, the day shift group and the night shift group. Now, obviously, with a classroom of students, whether they're in person or remote, you're going to see them all kind of shuffle in here. And if you don't like the teams, you can always shuffle them up down here. And regroup them. There is no drag and drop on this, so you can't manually drag one student over to a different group. You'd actually just have to click shuffle teams, but you can at least kind of shuffle them up at best. Once you're ready to go, the teacher's going to go ahead and click Let's Play. and the process begins. So this is right now, you can see if I click on this here, we're in what's called production phase. And then we're going to move to quality control phase, which is where we kind of pick and choose which flashcards are the best. So right now, for the student's perspective, they say, okay, work with your group to draw an example of above. The keyword here is above. So I'm going to use my quick draw tools down here. And I think what I'll do is draw a quick little house and say, let's draw a sun. Not the best drawer, and I am also using a mouse to do this. So, okay, I'm going to say that for my definition of above, I'm going to say the sun is above the house. So I'm done drawing. That's my freehand visual explanation of this term. And now they want me to write an example of that term. So I'm going to say the sun is above the house. And that's my written example or my use of that term in context. And I'm going to say I'm done writing. And that one's all set. And it says, looks good, ship it. Yep, we're happy with it as a team. I'm going to go ahead and send that one off. And you can see that it drops down into the conveyor belt here on the what is viewable by the entire class from the teacher dashboard is going to drop in, and you can see that the students have moved on. So now I've got behind, and let's continue on with the quick representation of the house here. And I'm going to do a car. It's a terrible car. Not the best drawer. That's horrendous, but it works. We're going to say that the front door is out here. And there's the pathway to the road. All right, I'm done drawing. The car is behind the house. I'm done. And let's ship it. We're good. Rank. I'm going to draw a platform here, almost like you'd see at the end of a competition. 1, 2, 3. And I have one really long arm and one short arm. I'm done drawing. And I'm going to say the athlete came in first place and was ranked number 1 in the world. And let's clean that up. I'm done writing. Drop that one in. All right. And our last one, I'm going to stick with the house. And let's do this. That's easy. That's a pipeline. For those of you that didn't know, I'm going to say the pipeline ran under the house. Done. I'm done. We've got our 4 in there, and I'm going to drop it in. All right, congratulations. You've made flashcards for every term, waiting for your teacher to move on. All right, so the students have dropped all of their cards in. Now, obviously, you could make more flashcards or you can have more key terms and whatnot, but for today's purposes, we've got 4. They're in there. Now, while this is all going on, the other crew, the day shift, is also doing the same thing from their screens. And you can see that, the tally count is up there at the top. Now, with regard to students working in person versus remote and having that done at the same time, I'm not sure that this is really going to work all that well unless you were to do something in addition to this, say with Google Meet, and do a breakout room where you also grouped the day shift and the night shift into 2 separate breakout rooms. That might work if you're using Google Meet at the same time with remote and in-person students. Again, if the students are in class, though, and you have your 2 groups, you're going to want to move them as far apart as possible because they're all going to be talking on their Google Meet versus the other Google Meet. But using something like breakout rooms in Google Meet to do this with your hybrid situation might really work. So give it a try. So once the production phase is done, I'm going to move on to quality control. And the quality control phase says, all right, we're going to pull up each of these flashcards. Now, because there's only one team working, you're not going to see the other team. But at this point, you would see the two teams and their representation. So I would see the night shift and the day shift, and we would say, all right, which one do we like best? And we're going to say, okay, for this one, the visual representation and the application of that terminology on this one is going to go to this team. So we like that one. And so they're going to get a point. And you can see that it registers that 1 point at the top. And maybe I don't like this one. I drop this one out, but I like the other teams better. And so I give them a point, and it stamps it and moves it on. And so you kind of go through this, and together as a class, both all the students from the day shift and the night shift, you're all agreeing or disagreeing or deciding which one does the best job at visually representing and application or use of the terminology. And so you're going to give them your stamp of approval. And here you go. You can see from the student side, great job, night shift. All 4 of yours were accepted, and you've made an amazing set. You can see the point value here. Now, in this case, it was set up to always have the night shift win because there's only one player. But from here, you're in the shipping phase. And this next phase kind of lets you either print the set out, or you can export this to Gimkit. And if you were to export this to Gimkit, Gimkit is a lot like Kahoot. So let me close this out, maximize this. Gimkit is a lot like Kahoot. It's gamifying the review process. So you can export your flashcards directly into Gimkit and use it to create that kind of live quiz that students are actively participating in. So I'll save the rest of Gimkit later for another episode maybe, but just know that it does offload or ship it out to Gimkit, or I can print the set of flashcards and then have that obviously for student use. So that is Flashcard Factory using Pear Deck Vocabulary. Once I'm all done, I can leave the factory. I can give it a quick name. I'll just say Mr. Conway, and maybe the date. Let's say 11/18. Save and leave the factory. So this session is now saved for me in the sessions in the dashboard. If I ever want to go back and rerun it, I can. If I want to use the vocabulary list from it, I can. I just have the availability of that session recorded now in the dashboard. So once that saves, we'll show you. So there it is there. I'm going to come back out. I can go over to sessions right from this menu, and you'll see that it'll post it in here as soon as it decides to finish. There we go. So there it is. And you can see that this was a, now that we have done a slides session, which was the last episode, we now have a vocab session that's in here. And again, I can run this. I can obviously also rename it or archive it over here. And I can get back to the vocab section by clicking on this right here. It's highlighted for me, so I can click and link to go to that. So again, a great tool for students who are in need of review or some fun way to kind of study the vocab related to the content that you're teaching. Vocabulary can often be a mundane practice. The kid comes home and you see them writing the word down, and then they write a definition, and that's the extent of it, and they're supposed to memorize that. So this just gives the students a way to kind of do that same learning, but in a fun way, in a gamified type approach, and also in a group setting, as they're working with other students to do this. So this is Pear Deck Vocabulary with Flashcard Factory. It is a free aspect of Pear Deck, and I strongly encourage you to check it out, have some fun with it. Again, it is not just for elementary students, although that was today's demonstration. You can even use this with the high school students. I don't see any questions coming in. Thank you for staying with me for the extended time, and I hope to see you again soon.